Welcome back to Prime Arcana, the Scourge Garden Saga. In Chapter 0.1 of the Origins arc, we met Ettin Kattya, a young Tabaxi barbarian living as the pet of a family of frost giants. Today, we continue her journey with Chapter 0.6, Pet. Ettin moves through the rugged streets of Rhymethorpe with purpose, navigating the winding alleys to avoid as many villagers as she can. The last thing she wants right now is to have her mood dampened by hostile stares or whispered insults. Very few people are allowed a private audience with the Jarl in public, and almost nobody is called into his home. Word would be out by now that she and Varg had been seen entering, and she knows well enough that people will have opinions on that. As her master's homestead comes into view, seeing it feels different. There's a hum in Ettin now, a little subtle vibration that seems to resonate with the newfound determination pulsing through her veins. The Jarl's challenge looms over you. This is a life or death opportunity that Ettin knows she cannot afford to squander. So, Danielle, or Ettin, as you approach the Ice Star homestead, what are you feeling? What's racing through your mind, knowing the Jarl's challenge looms over you like this shadow? And does the house feel like a refuge or a place where you're constantly reminded of your place beneath them?
So she's buzzing. She's incredibly excited. I mean, this is everything she's wanted, to be recognized and to get the chance to show that she's way more than just a pet, and that they weren't wrong taking her in. Then her home is, or their home, her home. It's definitely a refuge.
Mother to Ragnus, and wife to Varg, Elska Icestar stands towering over Ettin near the home's entrance. You watch as her hands deftly skin a dire goat with a long, sharp blade. Muscles ripple beneath her pale blue skin. Her arms are adorned with swirling tattoos that tell tales of battles she's been in. The scent of fresh hide and iron fills the air, mingling with crisp cold. Glancing up from her task, Elska's ice-gray eyes lock onto you with a gaze as sharp as the blade in her hand. You're back already? I asked the gods for a few hours of peace and quiet, and it seems they do nothing but laugh at me.
Well, yes, I'm back. Well, as far as your peace and quiet goes, you'll get plenty of that soon enough. She's a little bit deflated with how she's being treated.
Spill your story, cat. What would the Jarl want with my Varg's little shadow? Stop pouting in my front yard.
He's finally given me the chance to prove myself. I get to go on a journey.
A low chuckle escapes Elska's lips. Has he now? You think you can handle it?
Oh, I know I can handle it. You should have seen me out there the other day. And then she remembers who she's talking to and kind of goes back into herself.
Elska studies you for a long couple moments, and you feel the weight of her stare start pushing down on you, heavy as a winter storm. Roll perception for me. There's a flicker of something in her eyes. Perhaps respect. Perhaps skepticism. You're not quite sure. Then you'd best not squander it. She turns back to the dire goat, but her tone softens. There's the right meat in the storeroom. Take what you need.
She looks at her from the corner of her eyes as she's passing by, and she gives a little, "Thank you, mistress."
And as you pass by her, she calls out, "If you want to thank me, just do what needs doing and come home alive. The rats won't kill themselves."
She's strangely comforted by this.
And as you reach the door, she says, "There's fresh bread on the hearth if Ragnas hasn't devoured it all.
She goes scampering in. The first thing she does is she goes to stand by the fire to shake off the cold. Because as thick as her fur is, like, she's obviously no frost giant.
Totally. So once Ettin is inside the home, there's just this warm scent of simmering fried meats that overtakes your heightened cat senses. And honestly, the Ice Star homestead is pretty modest by frost giant standards, but to Ettin, it's always felt as grand as a palace. Heavy wooden beams crisscross over your head, so high above that they seem to disappear into the shadows cast by the flickering firelight. The walls are built from massive stone slabs, and they're covered and etched in runes, and adorned with skulls of beasts that you've never seen living, hung like forgotten relics. The floor is covered with dire bear pelts, hides and the occasional dire goat fur spread across the stone like rugs. Your paws barely make a sound as your footsteps are dwarfed in the enormity of the space. In the den, the massive fireplace that you stand by dominates one wall so large that even now, at your full height, Ettin could easily stretch out right in front of it for warm naps. Over the flames, an iron pot big enough for you to take a bath in, at least if you had the mind, fills up the space with the aroma of the aforementioned meat and herbs. The home's furniture around you is built to accommodate giants, with a long dining table spanning the length of the kitchen. The seats are more benches than chairs, with furs draped across them for comfort. Ettin looked like an infant sitting on any of them, so at some point in your past, Varg made a tiny little tower for Ettin to climb up with a little rope ladder and a little baby seat, basically. It's like sitting on the edge of the left side of the benches.
After she warms up, she grabs her little, like, meal bowl that Ragnas had carved her, because their bowls were way too big for her. And she dips it in the pot to get some of the broth of the stew to let that cool as she goes to the pantry and gets herself a little bit of dried meat and then, like, a crumb of bread.
Yeah, like a handful of bread for her is like straight up a crumb off this massive loaf that she's pulling off of there.
And then she scampers up her little tower to her seat and tucks in with her broth, lapping it up and eating on her meat.
From the den, you hear the heavy creak of the front door groaning open, followed by the telltale sound of Ragnus's footsteps. There you are! I've been looking for you everywhere. She reaches over at Ettin and grabs a slab of charred beef that she takes a bite of before taking a seat across from you at the table. So, what's the big news? People are already talking.
Ragnus, I get to go. It's everything I've wanted.
You get to go where?
I get to go out into the world. I get to prove myself. I got tasked with a really important mission. I get to be a guide for a caravan of dwarves, and I'm in charge of protecting them and making sure they get down the mountain. And then, oh, wait until you hear this. The Jarl, he told me I have to kill something big, like a dragon.
As Ettin talks, Ragnus is listening, and her brows like furrowing deeper with every passing second. After a pause, she raises an eyebrow and gives you this long look and goes, Seriously? That's unexpected.
Isn't it the best news? I finally get to do what I'm here for. I finally get to show the town.
And they picked you?
Yeah. Her little ears are perking up and her eyes are all big.
Why?
Well, why not?
Because you're not a warrior? You're not a guide? You're not trained for this? Tell me everything. Tell me everything.
Bjorn and his dad were there. Now I get to really show him.
Elaine, never misses an opportunity to slither around where people can't see or hear him plotting. Father has told me how duplicitous that man is. He smiles and plays nice, but he's always got something up his sleeve. If he's involved, I am worried that there is more to this than they're letting on.
If he's involved, this is my chance to show everyone how stupid he is.
That's true. I don't like that he was there, but the Jarl isn't a fool. Maybe he does believe in you. Or at the very least, Father.
This is my chance to show him that, you guys made a good choice.
I just hope they're not setting you up to fail.
No, I'm not going to fail. Straightens her back as she shoves some more bread in her mouth. I'm very confident in this.
Okay, little Miss Confident. How exactly do you plan on killing a dragon? Let alone finding one. We haven't seen them in at least 200 years. You'd have to travel so far. Can you even do that and make it back within a year? I don't like this, Ettin. I don't like this.
Yeah, I can do it. And you gotta remember, I'm smaller than you, which means I can fit into places that you can't. So I'll be able to find the dragons. And also, and she wrinkles her nose up, I've got a great nose.
You are smaller than me, and that makes for an even easier bite of morsel for a dragon. I don't have a say in this, but I don't like it.
I thought you'd be excited for me. You know all I've ever wanted was to make you guys proud, and this is my chance.
You already make us proud.
Yeah, but
You
not
want
in a
to.
way that the town respects.
All right. Like I said, there's nothing I can do. You're set on doing this? You're really going to leave?
Yeah, it's gonna be scary, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show them all. I'm gonna be a frost giant.
Ragnar smirks when Ettin says that, but you can kind of see this edge of genuine concern in her eyes, and she goes, all right, maybe I can sneak you some of the dried goat meat Father likes to hide away from the rest of us in his personal stash. That should at least last a week or so. We'll get you sorted. There's no way I'm sending my little fluffer muffin off ill-prepared.
She perks up again and gives her a little as she nudges into her.
Come on. I've got something for you. And she gets up from the table and walks down the hallway.
And happily follows her.
As you follow her down the central hall towards Ragnus' bedroom, where you once curled up as a kitten, surrounded by her warmth and scent, you find the walls of her bedroom are decorated with axes, spears, and a massive hunting bow, alongside antlers and further animal skulls. Her massive bed is covered in animal skins and thick woolen blankets, large enough for her but easily capable of swallowing you whole. The bedposts are etched with crude carvings, but it's the bottom left post that pulls your eyes. Your first scratching post. Still scarred and marred by the ruthless aggression of your childhood.
She sees that scratching post and by her side she stretches her claws, just remembering that feeling of digging into that wood. But she typically doesn't come into Ragnus's room, only when Ragnus invites her, but sometimes on the coldest of nights she'll sneak in the middle of the night and curl up next to Ragnus.
After sitting on the edge of the bed, Ragnus opens a wooden trunk, lifting the heavy lid with ease. She rifles through everything within and tosses items onto the floor as she goes with little care. A dagger for her, which would be the size of a great sword for Ettin, clatters to the side, followed by moose antlers, a pan flute, and a small dented training helmet. She mutters to herself as she digs deeper, but finally, her eyes light up as she pulls out a small, sturdy buckler carved from the deepest blue ice. It's a shield meant for frost giant children. Something common and well used, but perfect for you. Ragnus holds it up with pride. I know Father would not let you have one when we were growing up, and I know how bad the others teased you about it, and, well, This one saved me from more than one broken nose, so I think it'll serve you just as well. And she hands the buckler out towards Ettin. Now, I admit it's not the Dragon Slayer's shield, but it's a start.
She takes it with both her hands and just kind of looks at it. She's like, oh, wow. Thank you, Ragnus.
Ettin has seen this shield thousands of times.
Oh, she's envied it.
And as she's looking at it, Ragnus goes, You know, that was my mother's shield, too. I don't know if you ever knew that.
Oh.
That's the reason why you never got one. The Vetterskolder are passed down from parent to child, and, well, I may not be your mama, but you're definitely my best little lady. Little killer.
Oh. So it's a little bit of mixed emotions, because while she knows that, like, she doesn't have parents, she obviously came from somewhere. But, like, Elska never gave her that warm maternal feeling.
Nope.
So, like, having Ragnus, like, kind of fill in this position, it helps to alleviate some of the anxiety of not having an actual mom. And so she's looking at this shield and she goes, Ragnus, I promise I'll be careful. I promise I'll come back alive with that dragon's head.
If you do, I don't think anyone will ever doubt you ever again. And I will laugh in all of their faces, and I will tell them, Ha! I told you she was awesome from the very beginning. She's a little rat killer. Our house was the cleanest. She's nice. She's funny. She kicks a whole bunch of ass, and she does all of the best things around the house. And everyone in the village should have an Ettin, but they don't, because she is special.
Ettin feels so big now. She squares her shoulders back, puffs out her chest a little bit.
Have you talked to Father yet? What has he to say about all of this?
Well, I haven't seen him since I talked to the Jarl. Well, we talked to the Jarl. He was there for part of it. But I need to tell him at some point that I have to go with the dwarves.
Dwarves? What dwarves?
There's a caravan of dwarves coming through, and Jarl said that if I'm gonna go, I need to go with them and help them back to their kingdom.
What did he tell you about these dwarves?
Oh, not a whole lot.
Okay, and when did you say you were leaving again?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Oh, that's so soon!
I know.
You leaving in general is already one thing, but then leaving with dwarves and so soon? There are dwarves in the village. Father is not going to like this. He does not like dwarves.
It's okay, we'll be gone soon.
Okay. Alright, so my kitten is leaving in the morning with dwarves. Wonderful. Okay, what do I do? And she's just like pacing back and forth. That gives me time to stop by the market, collect a couple treats for tonight's meal. It's going to be a going away meal now, which I wasn't even planning. Oh, and then she like turns and she pauses and she just looks at you and she goes, Any special requests? I know you like those sour ram testes.
Can I get some smoked balls, please? Them pickled balls.
Trying to get them balls. She's a barbarian cat. So yeah. She definitely eats fucking balls.
What would they call that? I mean, just like sour goat testes?
Yeah.
I know there's the Rocky Mountain oyster.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
God. She goes, yeah, can you pick me up some of those? And then also, could you get me a smoked goat horn?
Of course. You got it. Anything else?
I I think that's it. And like she doesn't want to ask for too much.
Well, all right. I'm going to head to the market. I'll try to be as fast as possible, but also, I think I'm going to dig up what I can on this caravan of dwarves. I don't like you running off into the Scourge without knowing who it's with, even if the Jarl approved it. She reaches down and, scratches your head between your ears. She goes, you just take some time here at home. Rest. Make sure you're ready for what's ahead. I'm not quite sure you understand the gravity of what you've agreed to.
Ettin is so fucking naive.
She's a child.
Yeah, she's so naive. Like she's not even thinking about trying to figure out more information on this caravan. Like she's ready to go. She's like, yeah, this is going to be the best thing ever. It's going to be great.
She's got blinders on big time. She can't.
Oh, yeah.
She can't see beyond herself at all.
Yeah.
So as Ragnas reaches the doorway, her face softens for just a moment, and she goes, I'll be back soon. Please don't run off while I'm gone.
Okay.
And at that, Ragnas disappears into the hallway. And after a moment, you hear the front door to the den open and close, leaving you alone.
After she does that, she immediately jumps onto the bed and just full spread eagle, flop down on her back with her little tail flicking between her legs.
And at that point, the camera does a bird's eye view over the bed, and we see that she basically looks like an action figure on the bed because she's so small compared to the rest of the bed. Ragnas's pillow is the size of Ettin's bed.
Yeah.
So as she's laying there staring up at the ceiling, what is she thinking? And what's she feeling?
Yeah, I mean, just those blinders. She's fucking ready to go. She knows two things. She's gonna kill a dragon, and she's gonna make her family proud.
All right, you ready for some stats on this buckler?
Yeah. Buckler.
So it's called a Vetterskjolder buckler, and that's
You can have been spelled that.
VETRSK
VETRSK
JOLDR.
OLDR.
The Vetterskjolder.
Okay.
Its armor class is a +1 bonus to AC in addition to the standard shield bonus of +2. So it's a +3 shield instead of a +2.
Are we doing weight?
3 pounds.
Oh.
And then it also has a special ability called Everlasting Ice. The shield is indestructible by non-magical means and retains its icy form regardless of environmental conditions. It cannot be melted or shattered, and it floats on water despite its density.
Ooh.
Yeah. Is Ettin ready to head down to her real home, the cellar?
Yep.
After a while daydreaming on Ragnas's bed, Ettin climbs down the ladder into the familiar cool air of the cellar, into the dim, flickering lantern light, where Krobodi's few belongings lay scattered, much like her own. As she descends, she could hear the low humming tune Krobodi always sings when he's tending to something. Sure enough, there he is, hunched over a large bucket, milking one of the dire goats he'd brought inside for the night. The goat bleats, but Krobodi says, no, but would you want to be out there instead? I don't think so. When he sees you, the snow giant's face immediately breaks into a wide, toothy grin. Eddie! He sets the bucket down and nearly spills the milk, and stands up to lumber over towards you, moving fast as his frame would allow. You see the dire goats? They're fat. Lots of milk this time. I've been taking care of them real good. Lots of food from the garden, too. I got herbs drying up there and some grain growing over there. And we're going to have good food and good milk. Krobodi's excitement overflows as he points to the herbs hanging from the rafters. And I fixed the cellar roof right there. No more dripping water on us. I thought you'd like that. No more wet blankets and fur. Krobodi had been sent to the Ice Star family in a round of 50 slaves from the Sundering Wildstone clan, a frost giant collective further west in the plains. The Jarl had traded 10 Prime Age hunters in exchange for the deal, Varg's cousin being one of them. Krabodi had been one of the lucky few chosen for domestic work, and for the last 5 years he had tended to the Ice Star's needs, always dutiful and obedient. When the snow giant had first arrived, Ettin had not known what to make of him. He had been given space in the cellar, which until then had been her space alone. Sharing that already small, cold room with someone who towered over her, even though he was smaller than his frost giant cousins and only 15 feet tall, was no easy task. He was still a giant, after all, and the space wasn't exactly built for more than one. It had taken time, but eventually Ettin had realized Krabodi's sweetness knew no depth. He was, without a doubt, the purest, kindest soul she had ever met. While the frost giant youths bullied him, belittled him, and called him names, Krabodi never seemed to hold it against anyone. He was gentle, soft-spoken, and as innocent as the snow he was named after. Ettin had grown to cherish him.
She reluctantly walks over and gives the goat a little scratch. I'm glad she's given some good milk today. Listen, Krabby, I gotta ask you something.
Yeah? What is it?
I need you to take care of the rats for a while.
Oh?
Yeah. I'm gonna be gone for a little bit.
His face instantly falls. Gone?
I know, I'm sorry, but
What?
I've got a really important job to do.
Why you gotta go, Eddie? We got food here. Good dire goat, you don't need to go. We got everything.
Krabby, I know.
Huh?
But I've got to do this for the family.
And his brow furrows, and he glances over at the dire goat as if they could answer, and he looks back at it and he goes, Is it 'cause you mad at me? Did Crab do something wrong?
I could never be mad at you. You didn't do anything wrong. In fact, I wouldn't be comfortable leaving if you weren't here. I know Ragnus is going to be in good hands, and Master and Mistress. I know you're going to take real good care of them while I'm gone. I couldn't possibly do this without you.
And he's shoulders slump, and he's like, but you the only one that talks to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need nobody else if you stay. The goats don't talk to me. The plants don't. They treat me like I'm nothing. But you always talk to me, Ettin.
I know, Crab, but remember, you're everything to the plants and the goat. She wouldn't be able to do anything without you. And I know she can't talk back, at least not in the way that we talk. But she shows she appreciates you. Isn't that right? And she gives the goat another little scritch.
And Krabodi's like, she don't talk. What? Where you going?
I gotta go down the mountain.
But why? There's nothing
Look.
down there.
I've gotta take some people back to their home, back to their kingdom down the mountain, and then I gotta go and kill something after that.
And his eyes kind of get big, and he's processing. As his lower lip's trembling, and he wipes his nose on his sleeve, and he goes, "So you doing something for them? That's big, Etty. they finally see you like more than something that belonged to them. Not like Krabodi. I'll stay here. I'll tend the goats and I will grow the food.
You're a big part of this family. I'm doing it for them, but also I'm doing it for us.
Roll an insight for me. Etna's too focused. Etna's too focused on her task to notice any nuance. And Krabodi says, But what if the people you helping don't treat you any good? What if they don't take care of you?
I'm gonna show them that they have to treat me good.
But maybe one day they need you more here, right? They could find someone else for the journey. Yeah, that's it. They'll find someone else, I think.
Hey, Krabby, I'll be back. I'll be back real soon. You won't even notice I'm gone.
Okay. Oh, remember when we had the snowball fight and I hit you too hard and you said it didn't hurt, but I knew it did and we laughed? Remember that? You can't go, Eddie. We still got snowball fights to have.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of snowball fights when I get back.
You gonna go?
I have to go.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
Wait, I got something for you if you're gonna go. He like fumbles around in his pocket and pulls out like a little bundle that's small to him, but it's like the size of a bowling ball or a basketball. It's like wrapped in cloth and he hands it to you. I was making this for you, but it's not done.
Krabby, you shouldn't have. And she goes to like unwrap it awkwardly.
It's just this really crude sphere carved out of an uneven chunk of wood. And he's like, it's a snowball.
Thank you, Krabby.
And
You really shouldn't have.
what memories does this summon up from within Ettin?
I mean, all of their snowball fights, which haven't actually been like snowball fights. It's just been him lobbing
Snow boulders at her.
snow boulders. Yeah. And like, it's never so hard where she's like injured, but it's never just like a little snowball. It's always been like she's been buried under the snow each and every time.
And he kind of sniffles again and he goes, you like it?
It's beautiful.
That's good. You strong, Eddie. They're gonna see how strong you are.
She pats him on the knee and says, I'm strong, Krabby.
He wipes his nose again one more time on his sleeves and he goes, okay. And like you can see his eyes are like tearing up. And like to avoid letting Ettin see him burst out into tears, he goes, I gotta take the milk canister to the icebox. Then I double check the rest of the goats to make sure they're locked up for the night. You gonna be gone when I get back?
I'll be here. You go do that.
Okay.
And then I'll say goodbye to you.
Okay. You can do this, Krabby. You can do this. And like he just gets up and like pulls Ettin into a massive like big hug. And then after a long moment steps back and gives you one last look and then turns and picks up the milk container, which is bigger than you. And he watches his broad shoulders are like forced to slump as he steps through the back cellar doorway out into the afternoon sun. And when it shuts behind him, Ettin is left alone in the dim cellar. And for a moment, the only sound is the drip from the ceiling. And then the dire goat bleats loudly in her face.
She was kind of like zoning out, just comparing mentally this situation with being in Ragnus's bed and how warm and inviting it was. And the bleat fucking snaps her back to it. Okay, and gives her another little scritch while awkwardly juggling this snowball made of wood.
It's like the size of a bowling ball, basically, yeah. Yes.
How heavy is this thing?
I'd say like 5 pounds.
Okay.
So now that Ettin is alone in the cellar, other than the goat, please describe her little area of the space. Whatever knickknacks she has, any personal items, where she sleeps, what she does here.
She's made herself quite a comfortable bed out of the rat pelts that she's amassed over the years. You know, saving the best, most softest ones. I'm assuming they have some kind of hearth with a fire down there, right? Or some kind of stove, something for heat.
I would say that it's more akin to like a fire burning in a trash can.
Gotcha. So she's got her little bed set up around there, and she's moved the crates with just storage and stuff. She's moved them around to like make herself her own little room, and she's taken like some straw and stuffed it in between the rat pelts to make it a little bit more cushy. I think other than the rat pelts, she doesn't really keep trophies just because there's so many, you know?
Yeah.
She wouldn't possibly have enough space for all of the rats that she's killed over the years. As her blanket, she's got like a scrap of Ragnus's old clothing. So she's got like the scent of Ragnus with her. But I mean, she doesn't have too many personal effects. You know, she's got like a little sewing kit that she uses to keep her clothes in good shape.
Roll a perception for me. So that's a 22. Okay, good. From the corner of the room, Ettin hears a faint scraping sound.
She perks up her ears and they kind of turn towards where it's coming from, and she lowers her stance, you know, a little bit on edge, because typically what that means. And she's going to go investigate.
A collection of boards that she nailed down last month after a particularly brutal rat slaughter are scattered across the floor. Something has unmoored them. A cold draft from the tiny passage makes all of your fur stand on end as, when you peer down into the darkness, at first you see nothing but shadow. Something is down there, scuttling, scratching, crawling around. You see its body brushing against the stone and dirt hole as it flees, dragging itself with strange, jerky movements around the bend in the dirt tunnel. The thing is smaller than you, but its form is bloated with mottled patches of fur and pale flesh. It smells like a rat.
She kind of grins and grits her teeth, as she knew exactly where this was leading. Her tail kind of puffs up, and she starts creeping towards it.
You slip into the hole with ease, as you have countless times before, and the familiar darkness overtakes you. For Ettin, these pitch-black depths are no danger. Her sharp feline eyes cut through the darkness with ease to make out the contours of the narrow dirt tunnel ahead. Old scents of blood, fur, and decay cling to the air down here. Remnants of your past hunts. With nearly every step, her paws disturb long-dead rat skulls, cracked and dried, scattered like discarded offerings to the goddess of death.
I mean, like, there are definitely some that stand out more to her than others, but I mean, yeah, this has been her job.
Yeah, she knows these tunnels for sure. It's been weeks since you last crawled through these tunnels, but you know them. They're mapped out in your mind, and there's something different. Roll a perception for me. Oh yeah, you're killing it tonight. That's a 20.
It's yeah, it's the fucking proficiencies. Like if she weren't proficient in perception, like she'd be stuck in hardcore.
That's awesome. At the far end of the 7th side tunnel, Ettin can smell fresh earth. It doesn't take long to reach the recently dug new passageway, and kneeling down, your paws scrape through loose soil. This is a path you've never seen before, and it leads deeper into the bowels of the earth than Ettin has ever gone. Do you press on?
Yep.
As you move deeper, the narrow, earthy tunnel widens slightly, opening into an underground hollow. The ceiling looms a few feet above your head, and roots dangle from above. What draws your eye is the dire rat in the far corner of the chamber, moving towards a hole in the dirt floor of the hollow. It is a medium-sized beast, which means that it is about 4 feet long, and I would say about 3 feet tall. It's a big boy, about as big as a large-sized dog.
And it's running away from her.
It is moving away from her, yes. And you're in tunnels, but like basically this from here on, right here where it's at, like this part on is fresh and new. So like up until now, you're only used to basically like this part and this part over here being there to your left and sort of straight ahead. And now there's something to your right that's been opened up, and this rat is headed towards the right instead of to the left or straight ahead.
Okay.
It's a bigger rat than you've ever seen before.
So she creeps up around here and picks up just like one of the like a piece of the earth or like a pebble or some kind of like small rock. And she throws it at it and she goes, "Come here, rat."
And when the rock hits the rat, it like bounces off of its fleshy hide, its fleshy butt, and it turns and it stops and it looks over its shoulder back at it, and then it goes like and like spins around to like face her, and it like doesn't charge you, and it's like backing up towards the hole away from you, but it's got its eyes on you, and it's beady black eyes and these gleaming like yellow fangs, and it's missing a couple teeth, and it's like chittering, and it's going like
she's gonna go to attack it.
That is gonna be a roll initiative. Well, it looks like Ettin goes first.
Ooh.
You got an 18 and the dire rat got a 16.
She's gonna let out a yowl as she goes into a rage, and she's gonna charge right at it.
The rat stands its ground, ready for whatever you've got.
She's gonna take a swing with her great axe.
That's a miss.
Ugh.
So the rat is obviously going to bite back at you. You know, when you go into this rage and come running up at it, like swing your axe, and you miss. I guess I would say that the reason why Ettin probably misses is because she's used to fighting much smaller rats. So essentially she goes into like her regular patented rat slaying maneuver and realizes at the very last second, like, oh, this thing's a lot bigger than like what I'm used to killing, and it just kind of throws her off. So she like whiffs it. And when she whiffs it, the rat lunges forward. You know, it's only at this point a foot away to try and bite at you. Dang, it got a 20. So that is a hit, correct? You have a 20 AC, meter beat?
Yep, meter beat.
All right, that is a hit. Let's see what damage it gets on you. So she takes 5 damage.
All right, she's gonna take another swing with her great axe, hopefully, changing it up enough that she's gonna be able to hit this thing.
It has a 13 AC, so that's very much a hit. Go ahead and roll your...
Very much a hit.
Very much a hit. That 25, hell yeah. So she takes 12 or it takes 12 damage. Yeah, you just fucked that thing up. Good. Yeah, you just dropped it from 19 hit points down to 7.
God. She's good at what she does.
And what she does is bloody.
It's time to get funky. God.
So then it's going to try to do another bite at you because you just cleaved a nasty fucking slice across its back, and it let out this terrifying scream. With its attack, it's going to go ahead and try to bite you again. That's a 21, so it does hit. And it's going to roll its damage. And that's 5 more damage, but it's after it bites you, it's going to try to back up, which opens up an attack of opportunity for Ed.
Hold on. What kind of damage is it?
Piercing damage.
Piercing. Okay, so she takes, since she's in a rage, she's resistant, so she takes half of it.
Beautiful.
So I'm not going to change her.
So we'll say you took...
I'm not going to change her health.
No,
altogether. She's taken.
We'll say you took 6 damage total instead of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, but it does back away to open up the attack.
It does.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
14 to hit.
That's a hit. It has a 13 armor class.
Reaches it as it tries to get away.
Go ahead and describe how Ettin kills this dire rat.
As it bites her and tries to back away, she shoves her arm in with the shield, the side of it, into the rat to hook it behind its fucking teeth. And she pulls it close to her as it's trying to back away, and she takes her great axe in the other hand and just cuts his head clean off.
100 experience points as the head rolls past Ettin's legs back into the main area of the tunnel. As she's standing there breathing heavy in this rage. As the dire rat collapses to the ground and blood spills across the soil, sinking into the fresh earth under your feet, and the tunnel goes quiet once more. Does Ettin look down into the hole the dire rat was headed towards?
She's going to sniff down it and see if there are any interesting scents that catch her attention.
Okay, go ahead and roll a perception for me. Ooh, that's a low one. I'm going to say that the air wafting up from there is different. It's warm and it's wet, and it carries a new scent. Soil mixed with something you have not encountered before, or at least you don't remember encountering.
She's gonna continue to creep.
Okay, go ahead and roll a stealth check for me. Okay, 12. Okay, that's good. As Ettin descends further, the scent of rats gets stronger. Unmistakable. Your ears twitch, picking up the faint noises of scurrying and scratching. Soft chittering as they talk to each other in the darkness. Then you drop into a second, larger hollow with a ceiling that stretches up about 10 feet. Roll perception for me. Okay, that's a 15. Ettin is up there. And then down here, this is what she sees. In the center of the larger hollow, a giant rat looms. Larger than the dire rat, its grotesque body is as big as Krabodi's dire goat. Surrounding it are 4 smaller rats, each looking up at it with an almost reverent focus. It's not the giant rat that holds Ettin's gaze, however. Standing beside it, on her hind legs, is a grotesque, mutilated rat folk. About 3 feet tall, wearing the rotting remains of something horrifyingly familiar
You said it was a rat folk?
Yes, ma'am. What is your passive perception, by the way?
13.
Okay. A piece of cloth, torn and stained, drapes over the creature's shoulders. Ettin recognizes it instantly. It's her baby blanket. The one that Varg had thrown away years ago. Or at least she thought he had. The blanket hangs in shreds off the Rat Queen's shoulders, barely clinging to her gnarled, hunched frame. Her eyes are wide and glassy, and they gleam with a dark intelligence.
One, what the fuck is going on? Because this certainly isn't normal. 2, why does she have my baby blanket? Like, that's more of what she's focused on. What's going on down there? She's not gonna like drop right in all of a sudden, but she's gonna study the situation, see if she can suss out, what's happening.
The Ratfolk Queen is speaking in a language that Ettin does not understand to the giant rat and the 4 regular-sized rats surrounding it. Her tone is frustrated.
Ettin's kind of torn. She can't leave this, like, unfinished business as she's about to leave town. So, yeah, okay, fuck it. She's gonna drop down over to, like, here, like, apart from them. And she's gonna yell out, "Hey, that's mine."
The moment that Ettin shouts that, time seems to, like, slow as your voice catches the Rat Queen's attention and her head whips into your direction. Her dark eyes just, like, stare at you, and for a heartbeat, neither of you move. Then, with a sound like long, sharp claws scraping over stone, the Rat Queen screams, like her bone-chilling cry, like it echoes around the cavern around you and the walls themselves. Soil and rock tumbles down above your head, and 24 rats pour out from small holes in the soil and the walls around you like a living tide. Their sharp teeth gnash as they swarm together to form a writhing, squirming barrier between Ettin and the Rat Queen. The ground beneath your feet trembles as the giant rat, now fully facing you, lets out a deep, guttural roar, just like... The wall of rats hisses and shrieks, but grows quiet when the Rat Queen speaks.
So I finally see with my own eyes the demon who has been killing my children, my grandchildren, for a decade. Murderer of my blood, come to my home.
Ettin spits on the ground and says, "Just taking out the trash. Speaking of, where'd you get that blanket?"
She reaches up with clawed fingers and, like, traces her gnarled nails along the soiled blanket. She goes,
"You recognize this? I was forced to take it as a consolation prize. You were smaller than fresh to this place. You had only killed a few of my family then. I came up to see you for myself. I held my hand on your throat. If it weren't for that damned giant child coming to sleep beside you, crying in the night from some nightmare, missing her little baby, her fluffer muffin, I'd have finished the job. So instead I took this.
And she caresses the blanket again.
So I could keep your smell close. So I could avoid you on your hunts.
And tightens the grip on her battle axe, and she goes, "You should have killed me then, when you stood a chance."
You crawled too deep this time, kin killer. I will see you buried down here. You will feed my children and be forgotten to the world above.
Let's fucking dance, trash queen.
Oh, God. All right, roll initiative. So the order of initiative goes Giant Rat, Rat Queen, Ettin, Swarm of Rats. The Giant Rat has a 30 feet speed, so it's going to run up to you and bite. And she is still, I would say, in rage. So that bite misses. Then it would be the Rat Queen's turn. She is also going to charge towards you. And she's just like, "Rah!" and runs over to you and attacks with her bite. You have a 20 AC, correct?
Correct.
She missed.
Oh, hell yeah.
It is now Ettin's turn.
As she, dodges to miss both these attacks, she's gonna do, a little spin and bring her axe around, trying to hit the giant rat. Yeah, I have a feeling that hits. That's a 23.
This thing's got a 40 AC. No, it's got a 12. It's got a 12 armor class. You 100% hit. That one strike kills it. Go ahead and describe how it kills this giant rat.
So as she brings her axe around, she's got her shield up to defend herself from the rat queen, and just buries her axe in the head of the giant rat.
And when you do that, the rat queen goes, "No!
I will wear your skull as a crown."
And then the rat swarm just piles over you. Let's see what we get. 11. That's a fucking miss. So go ahead and describe how Ettin avoids basically getting dogpiled by this swarm of rats.
I mean, so they're all just trying to bum rush her. So she brings, she finishes the twirl that she's doing and brings the shield back around to kind of push them away to keep them from getting at her.
It is now the rat queen's turn. She's gonna try to do a tail lash at you. So as the swarm the rat swarm comes up over the body of the dead giant rat and tries to they're leaping off of it onto Ettin, and they're trying to bite, but as she's spinning the axe, they just keep whipping off of her body, flying into the air. And instead of accidentally biting one of her grandchildren baby rats, the rat queen does this sort of parkour move where she leaps up and puts her foot on the side of the dirt wall, and then spins herself through the air to try to hit Ettin in the face with her tail. And she fucking horribly misses.
Nice. She's gonna duck down as she sees this tail coming towards her, and take a swing at the swarm of rats.
Hell yeah.
Fucking
Dude, that's a natural 20, and you got a 26. So they have a 10 armor class, so you very much hit. Go ahead and hit crit damage for me. Okay, so it is down from 24 hit points to 13.
She's just fucking stomping them in her rage.
And they're just and the surviving swarm it's going to attack, still, again, trying to leap up onto her and bite her enough with the hope of wounding her and tearing her down. Now there's only 11 rats left here. So let's see what they get. They fail horribly. It is now the Rat Queen's turn again. She is not liking how this is going, so she's going to use her legendary lair action. The Rat Queen's legendary lair action is Infectious Strike. The Rat Queen makes a bite attack. On a hit, the target must make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or be infected with a disease. So, the rat is going to try to lunge forward and bite Ettin's neck with her legendary action. And fails horribly.
She told him, let's dance. And, it really does look like a dance of just how close Ettin is letting her get while, not letting her hit. She's going to take another swing at this rat swarm.
Okay. Anything above a 10?
Yup.
Well, roll that damage. All of them are dead. Go ahead and describe how Ettin, with 2 attacks, kills 24 rats.
These rats, these normal rats even that giant rat that's her fucking bread and butter. She knows how these things move so well and exactly where to put her axe that, it's a work of art just how efficiently she's able to kill these things.
And upon seeing her just stomping all of these little rats who to the Rat Queen are her grandbabies and her kin, and she's just and just leaps up into the air to try to claw out Ettin's eyes. And she horribly fails.
What is she rolling, man?
Dude, she got a 5. She got an 8. She got what's the first one that she got? A 7 for the tail lash. She got a 9 for her first bite. So she's never even hit double digits when she's been trying to hit it.
My gosh,
dude, 5,
yeah.
7, 9, she's getting shit.
Yeah. And easily just deflects her, similar to how she did the dire rat. She sticks her shield up to protect herself, and then with her other hand she gives it a shake to get the blood of the regular rats off, and then brings it around to try and catch her in the torso.
She has a 13 AC, so that is very much a hit.
Let's go.
10. Okay, so she's down 5. She screams in pain as the axe buries itself sort of into her fat belly and grabs a hold of the shaft of the axe and pushes it out of her body. And you can see that she's just layers and layers of blubber, just so much fat protecting her organs that cleave, though solid, it didn't get deep. She is going to do a multi-attack, essentially trying to tear out your eyes, bite at you at the same time. Fail. She got a 14.
She's gonna keep bringing that axe through her, just trying to do more damage.
Roll it. What? 2 natural 20s in the same fight? Oh my god. Damn. Roll that crit damage. Okay, 13, so she's down from 55 to 42. She has 2 more legendary actions. So she's gonna use them, but she's going for another tail lash. She's gonna try to do another tail lash because it's a bludgeoning damage, and she's gonna try to leap up into the air again. She does another parkour thing where she's sort of holding her side, leaps forward, and then does a backwards handspring off of her one hand and tries to whip you in the face, specifically the nose and the mouth with her tail. 12. That's a fail.
She kind of matrixes it back as she's dodging this tail again, and she catches the tail to steady herself and bring herself back up, and uses the momentum to bring her great axe down on the tail.
Oh no! Okay. That is a miss. She has a 13 armor class. So when she grabs the tail and tries to bring her axe down, the Rat Queen sees this and she yanks her tail back like really, really fast and then leans forward to try to get that legendary poison bite in on Ettin's arm. That's a miss with a 9.
This bitch can't hit.
Okay, it's Ettin's turn again.
She takes like a step around the Rat Queen as she lunges to bite, and as she takes that step, she brings her axe back up and around for another chance to hit her.
Okay, that is a hit. Okay, 42 down to 31. So she's still up there. You're just moving around, dodging and weaving these bites and these tail whips that she's throwing at you. And every single one of them, Ettin just weaves out of the way of and carves another chunk out. Weaves and carves, just cutting her. And she's going to go for another multi-attack here as she leaps forward to try to bite Ettin's ear. Misses with a 9.
But I mean, like Ettin is pretty pissed. I mean, here's the fucking bane of her existence, wearing her baby blanket, which she was convinced was put in the trash. She's furious, and she's gonna grab that blanket with her arm with the shield on it. She's gonna go to pull it back and just brings her battle axe around for another chance to hit.
Okay, that is a hit. Go ahead for the yank off. Let's go with a dexterity check. Okay, so you do hit, but you fail at yanking the blanket off. When Ettin grabs a hold of the blanket, she sees that it's like hooked into the Rat Queen's like skin. Like there's like little bone hooks like in the Rat Queen's shoulders that she has like basically stapled the blanket to herself, but she did this years and years and years ago, and the staples and the blanket have like fused into her skin.
All right, I'm gonna roll the damage.
Yep. Okay, 31 down to 19. She's gonna try to bite you again. A 20. She finally hits you. So when Ettin tries to like rip the blanket off of the Rat Queen, she takes that as like a personal offense, and she throws her shoulder back and like knocks your arm away, and she goes, "Mine!" and then lunges forward and like bites your hand. So let's see what she gets. 8 damage.
All right, so halved, that's 4.
4, yes, correct. 4 damage to your hand. So she's got like, her fangs are like buried in Ettin's, whichever hand is free from the battle axe right now. Like her hand and her wrist, she's biting onto you right now.
As she sinks her teeth in, come at her again with the axe.
That is a miss. She's got a 13 armor class. Since she's so up close on you, she's just gonna push you forward. Like she uses all of her weight to try to push you forward against the back wall. She got an 18. So she pushes Ettin up against the back wall, and like with Ettin's hand still in her mouth, she opens up her mouth just enough that she can bite back down on it hard again. Like she's trying to bite your hand off. She got a 4. So when she opens up her mouth to sort of get that second bite in,
she's gonna put the sharp end of her axe in that open mouth.
Roll it. Oh man. Well, that's a 20. That hits. Roll damage. Okay. So she's down to 4 hit points.
So she pushes the axe into her mouth to give her like a smiley, breaking all of her teeth as she pushes it in.
It's just like, and the rat just like, and like fucking leaps backwards and is like standing in the middle of the hovel that she was clearly preparing for something. She's holding her bloody face. She was holding all these cuts on her body. She's got like a slash on her belly and on her shoulder and on her back. She's still got her tail. And she's like holding up on her face instead, and you can see the blood like spilling out all down her legs. And she's trying to like basically keep her lower jaw intact from this like massive slicing, just torn open smile that you've done on her face.
This means nothing. You found me too late.
It's like blood just like spatters across her chest and her face.
I have daughters under every home in this village. My wrathful will rule Ramthorpe one day. This village is ours.
And brings her axe up. Yeah? Well, I'll kill him too. As she fucking brings it down on right into the center of her head.
Roll that fucking attack for me. That's a 20. Roll the damage. That's an 11. The Rat Queen is dead.
As she brings her axe down with all of her might, it splits her head in half, like just clear in two pieces. And then after that, it's just like this fucking adrenaline dump. And as she's standing there, hyperventilating almost, she's looking at her poor baby blanket and just how fucking
soaked in blood it is.
Warped and disgusting. And so instead of taking her blanket, she grabs, whatever crown or thing she has on top of her head.
She's wearing a crown of your baby teeth.
Of my baby teeth?
Yes.
It's fucking gross. But she takes that and goes to climb out of the tunnel.
That was 875 experience that you just got.
All right. It's time to level up.
Yep. After climbing the ladder up to her seat at the kitchen table, Ettin smiles when she sees the roasted goat testes are still steaming. Her smile widens greater when she sees the 3 thimbles of mead beside the plate. As she takes her seat, she adjusts herself in the specially made tower chair that's tall enough for her to sit eye level at the table. Varg sits at the head, silent, with an already half-finished second plate. Across the table, Elska and Ragnus are deep in conversation. And how clean is Ettin? Because it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours after her absolute slaughtering of the Rat Queen and the remainder of her family in the space underneath the Ice Star family home.
So, I mean, by this point, like, obviously some blood has soaked into her clothes, and she tried to clean that up as much as she could. But as far as, like, her body, she's a cat. She's very clean.
Okay.
She's not going to sit there and, soak in the blood. She's going to get right to cleaning herself up. And also, she knows that she's having this big dinner with the family, and she's not trying to look unpresentable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I still don't get why the Jarl agreed, Ragna says, gesturing with her knife, a small piece of meat balanced on the tip. Dwarves? What for? It's not like they are worth the effort. Like Elska shakes her head, sighing. It sounds like he didn't have a choice. The cloud giants are always pushing for alliances with the smaller folk in the name of stability. They've always had a weakness for diplomacy. Elska gives Ragnus a pointed look when she says, I've seen the way Prince Garmund eyes you when he thinks no one's watching. And you flirting right back. If you're hoping to fuck your way into royalty, daughter, you'd better start learning a thing or two about diplomacy. Ragnus just like shakes it off and goes, I'm not trying to marry into the Jarl's family, mother. Garmund's as cold as the ice we walk on. He's just fun when the mood strikes. Elska leans forward, Garmund may be a savage, but even he knows how to play the games that matter. And if you're serious about getting involved with this village, you better start thinking ahead. And Ragnar grins wider. The only thing I'm serious about is going on a quest to find the Jormungandr in his pants. And Elska bursts out laughing, and she's like, "Oh, don't go looking for snakes, darling. You just might find them." She takes a bite from her meat and she goes, "Or worse, a dead little fish instead." And like her mother, Ragnus' laugh is loud and hearty. She goes, "If it was a dead little fish, I'd just feed it to Etty." And at that, Elska laughs even harder and takes a drink from her goblet.
Like, she understands it, but she doesn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
So she's just gonna, as she's got like mouthfuls of her goat balls, she's just gonna like nod along with them and kind of chuckle under her breath. I mean, like, it's bittersweet, but she's definitely acting like this meal is more of a celebration, like a hero's feast, rather than
For sure.
a goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And Varg's fist slams down on the table, rattling the bowls. His voice booms through the room, loud and rough. "Do the two of you think this is some kind of fun dinner? Some game? Some celebration?" The pair stop laughing and turn to look at Varg. Elska moves to speak, but he looks away from her, directly at Ettin. "This is no raid you're going on, pet. You're about to leave." Roll a perception for me here. You can see that Varg, who usually seems to hold his stoicism easily in check, is emotional. Beside him, Elska reaches out to put a hand on his shoulder, but Varg rants through it. "Our Ettin, alone with the most duplicitous, greedy, power-hungry scum to ever walk this world. And what's worse, they're so fucking small." Elska glances at Ettin with a knowing smirk. "Well, she has had plenty of practice killing small things, hasn't she? We've made sure of that. She's kind of perfect for the job."
And with a mouthful of food, she goes, "You should have seen what I killed earlier."
Varg stops and looks at you and he goes, "I suppose she has. Still, they're dwarves. Killing them isn't enough. They always wriggle back with more schemes and lies, crawling up from their holes in the mountains. You can't trust anything that small. Their brains are too little to think of anything other than gold. They're not like us. We fight for honor, for glory. But dwarves, they'll sell out their own if the price is right. I hate them." He jabs a finger towards you and he goes, "You remember my words. No second chances for dwarves."
She's gonna nod very seriously at him. "We hate dwarves."
Ragnus rejoins the conversation with a soft, "She will remember, father." Shifting his eyes from his daughter to his pet, Varg adds, "You better. Because the longer you're with them, the more they'll try to make you like them. They're greedy, soft-hearted, and easily broken. We didn't raise you to break. We raised you to fight. To survive."
She pounds her little fist on the table and she goes, "They won't get me. I'll get them first."
Ragnus smiles, proud, and gives you a little wink. She goes, "She won't need any help, father. You've seen her. Tell me about this rat you killed earlier." And he takes a bite of the cooked goat that Elska was carving up earlier.
She leans back in her seat and takes one of her little thimbles of meat, and she starts recounting this tale of, this wave of 100 rats that came after her. and this big, gnarly, dire rat that she killed on the way there. And then she goes into detail about like what the rat queen looked like, and also something weird. She was wearing my baby blanket.
You see, Ettin, this is why you kill them. They are vermin. They are disgusting creatures. You are lucky we found you and brought you here so you didn't end up like them.
Disgusting. You should alert the other houses. The rat queen said that she has daughters under each of them. They need to step up their game.
I will do this. But I doubt anybody will believe you. It is their own fate. And he slams his hand down on the table.
She slams hers again too.
Ragnus quietly pushes a piece of pie towards you. I was going to share this with Ettin in private after dinner, but since you're so heated up about it, Father, while I was at the market, I ran into Ilsa Egglestother. Her husband works with the Jarl's dire goat keepers, helping manage the herds. Varg just kind of goes, huh? That's where the caravan is, hidden back there behind the Jarl's hall. 4 big carts, a bunch of horses. She told me that there is 11 dwarves total. 4 drivers, 1 for each caravan. 4 guards. And 1 she thinks is a healer, a woman. And then there's 1 who is some kind of fancy little lord. She said he prances around yelling orders at the other all day. And that they're staying at Elaine and Bjorn's homestead tonight. Varg's jaw tightens at the mention of Elaine's stone grip. Instead of speaking, he stabs another piece of meat with his knife, and his eyes flick over to you. Elska shrugs, nonchalant. It seems like a pretty well-guarded lot for a bunch of traders. Elaine's probably trying to kiss up to them. He's always looking for some way to gain favor. Varg goes, you said 4 carts. With that many travelers, they'll use 2 to sleep. 1 will be for foodstuff and equipment. Elska spears a goat testy on her plate and says, which leaves 1 for secrets. Ragnus looks at you and she says this, but she's talking to her father. I just don't think they pose a threat to her. And even if they did, none of them have seen her fight. Varg stands up from the table without saying a word and disappears down a hallway. Ragnus blinks at her mother and goes, what now? And Elska shrugs. She goes, give him a moment. A few moments later, Varg returns with a large rolled up map. He pushes aside dishes and cups to clear a spot on the table and unfurls it to show a map of the Scourge Garden. And Ettin has never seen anything like this before. She sees her village up in the top northeastern corner of the icy Scourge Garden, listed as Rhymethorpe, south of the cloud-throned kingdom of the Cloud Giants, which rules this entire country. Pointing to a spot in the southern reaches, Varg says, here. I was young, no older than Ragnus is now. I got separated from my band. I've told you the stories of your uncle Onyx Darkstar. And Ragnus nods and she goes, I remember him. He was one of the soldiers traded to the Sundering Wildstone. And Varg nods. I got separated from him. And for 3 terrible days, I was prey. And then he looks at Ettin, and he says, a white dragon. One of the old ones. Cruel. Vicious. thought I was done for nearly 100 times a day. It stalked me. It wore me down. Treated me like I was already dead. They speak things to you in the dark, through the blizzard. It knew things. If I had not found that cave, and his voice trails off for a moment, but he straightens up. I wounded it, but I couldn't kill it. I found a passage that led deep into the Undermountain. If not for that, I wouldn't be sitting here. Like, Ragnus's eyes are huge and like big as sausage. She goes, "You never told me that! I thought dragons didn't exist in the Scourge anymore." I'm like, still looking at Ed, and Varg says, "At least one does. That's the last thing I can offer you. When you finish with the dwarves, that's your lead." And like, Ragnus looks down from her father to you and goes, "Father, that sounds like certain death."
So as Varg like started talking about the white dragon, her little ears perked up and she jumped onto the table on all fours, onto the map, like cats do. And she was like sniffing around where he was pointing out, almost as if she was trying to catch the scent of the actual place. And she looks up at him, just locking eyes. "I'll kill it. Kill it for me and for you."
And the map underneath your paws stretches across the table. Inked lines tracing mountains and valleys and places far away. Ettin stares at the spot where Varg's finger had hovered moments before. The Amber Vein Plateaus. It is very far from your village. Elska rises from her seat to clear her plate while Ragnus still picks at her food in silence. The conversation had cooled, with everyone's earlier laughter replaced by the weight of conversation, but Ettin barely noticed. Her mind is miles away. As we wrap up tonight and get ready for Ettin's origin finale, coming soon in chapter 0.8 of the Scourge Garden Saga, Claw.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.